Hi class. So we are on week 7 of our course. We are almost done, which is really exciting. It's moved right along. Hopefully you feel like you've learned some about, sorry, I have a glare. You've learned a lot about child development, going into adolescence, adulthood, things of that nature. You will continue to be reading about as a person ages in adulthood. Um, we are on week 7, and next week there won't be a live lecture due to it being week 8. And I don't like to um, overwhelm you all with week 8 because I know there is a lot going on during that week typically. I'm going to double check something here with your syllabus because I want to make sure that that we don't have too much going on that week because we have our capstones, of course, that are due, which is a big deal. And then I know you have all the things that are due week 8. So yes, there's no discussion board. There's a discussion board this week for week 7. There is not a discussion board for week 8. There is, though, the capstone project, which is due week 8, day 3, and the final exam is due week 8, day 3. And when you look at day 3, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That is not, it's early in the week because we have to grade all the projects. And so just to be mindful of that, that is coming up. For your capstone really quick, I'm just going to kind of go over some of that with you here. Let's see here. I'm getting to it just to kind of go over some of the details. Now, if you go to week 8 learning activities, you're going to see more details about your capstone. That always usually includes a rubric, things of that nature, so you know what to expect, what we're looking for, all those great things. You know, we've been grading discussion boards. You guys have been doing great. I think I still have one more set of discussion boards to grade, and I will take care of that very soon. Your tests are automatically graded as soon as you submit them, so things should be pretty current for the most part. Like I said, let me look up. I'm going to go to week 8 myself so I can make sure I'm conveying all of this correctly. Okay, so your capstone project, there's a full listing of what is expected of you for your capstone project. If you click under learning activities, click on week 8. There's everything that you need to know about your capstone project. You are going to be making a psychoeducational seminar. You're going to pick a certain age of development that we've covered in this class, okay? And you're going to be talking about why it's important. You're going to use peer-reviewed articles, provide at least 5 recommendations for improving or addressing the developmental issue, explore the developmental issue through the lens of scripture, of course, and describe the developmental issue, how it would be expressed if a client presented it in therapy. You could really, you know, what's cool about this is like you could really utilize whatever what your interests are based on the different things that we discussed. You really could use this maybe in your future to help future clients to do any sort of psychoeducational thing for parents. There's a lot that you can utilize in your program that could be things that you apply to future things that you do in your practicum sites. So please pick something that interests you, pick something that you feel like could be useful for you, want to learn more about anyways. And that would be a great way to kind of learn something and of course complete an assignment. So just some heads up there. Like I said, the rubric is posted. All those things are in your learning activities for week 8. So please be mindful of that. We're really excited to have you guys learn and develop and grow so that you can apply all these great things to your future clients, wherever that may be, whatever age group they might be in. And so hopefully what you've learned in this course, because I'm in the field still, you'll hopefully heard some things from like real life experience that you could be applicable to you. Because again, like, everybody's different. Everything's different all the time in our field. And so hopefully I was able to shed some light on that for you. Also, we have our end of the year course evaluations. Please feel free to do that. If you so choose to do that, you will get 10 points extra credit. You just need to email me that you did the survey I won't be able to read what you wrote, things of that nature, but it would be helpful if you let me know so then I could give you those points of extra credit. Okay, so that is our 1 extra credit opportunity. So we're talking about what is a wife? What is a wife? What is a well-lived life? What is that? Very subjective. Everyone has very differing opinions on what that looks like. And I think what's hard in our culture is like happiness. We talk about happiness all the time. I want to be happy, all those things. I don't really like happiness in the sense of like that's our achievement, because in my mind happiness is fleeting. It comes and it goes. And so when we base things about being happy, there's a lot of ups and downs to that. To me, I think life is more about contentment and finding contentment. Contentment isn't like we're living in this awesome space all the time, but contentment is like there's a level of peace with that, and a level of like I'm satisfied, like there's room for good and there's room for hard, but there's not so much up and down. Okay. And so just something to be mindful of, but how do people rate what a well-lived life is? I think everyone has different values, and I think how you rate your life and the quality of your life and what's important to you has to do with what you value. So is it a materialistic goal? So does materialism equal happiness? Does having more money make you happy? People tend to base like, if I'm able to go on this vacation, or if I'm able to have this toy, or if I live in this neighborhood, that would equate to, oh, now I can be happy, or this would make my life a value, or means like I've made it. And those are all very temporary things, and all these things can change rather quickly. And it can cause depression too, and anxiety when people are working and working and working to get to some goal, oftentimes a materialistic goal, and it's not as satisfying, and it doesn't fill the void, and then there's still something better or newer or bigger. It doesn't satiate, doesn't stick. I think we see that a lot of times with purchases, right? We need that new shirt, or we need that new jacket, or whatever that may be. And I even see with my kids, when, especially because we have them use their own money to buy things, and they'll really want something and they have to have it. And so they save their money and they buy it. And then it's this feeling of that really wasn't that satisfying, So things to be aware of when working with people, because oftentimes we're striving and trying to get to a place for a reason. Not just security, but because it feels like then I will have enough or be enough. And oftentimes it doesn't feel as satisfying as we thought it should. Okay. Just things to be there. So quality versus quantity of social relationships are linked to satisfaction in adulthood. Men and women vulnerable to depression without strong, positive interpersonal bonds. Marriages, long-term intimate partnerships, major source of companionship in our societies, are a lower risk of depression because there's that longevity, a consistency, things that help people to not be so depressed. Across cultures, consistent findings on the importance of social relationships for well-being. So having people in your life does help you. Predictors of happiness, work experience, and sense of self. As competent worker, individuals report generally positive emotions about work. Satisfaction based on congruence between personality characteristics and skills and qualities required for the job. I think that's why it's so important. Like, as we've been talking about different ages. We talked about young adulthood, last time. But really trying to look for work that suits you, right? Like some people will be like, well, I just want to make a lot of money. Okay, well, based on your personality, if you're an extrovert, an office job where you're in a cubicle isolated probably isn't going to be a good fit for you. Or if you're a person who likes to be moving and like maybe a bit attention deficit kind of things, sitting in one spot, being trapped isn't going to be ideal for you. So knowing yourself will help you to find a vocation that better suits you, right? Workplace characteristics contribute to well-being, so opportunities for personal control in tasks, supportive supervisor, good pay and fringe benefits, respect and status. The idea of no all work, no play leads to a diminished life. Like you have the people who are workaholics, right? So meeting, again, it's trying to find that balance. You have to work because you have to work, right? Like there isn't necessarily a choice. Not all of us are independently wealthy. However, if you are going to pick work, if there is more satisfaction in picking work that suits you better, right? And if we're going to be spending most of our lives working, you would like to be doing something that suits you better, that fits you better, that meets your strengths, that you excel in versus not, right? Universal needs and values and well-being. So meeting basic psychological needs as the source of well-being. So there's different kinds of well-being. The 6 elements of psychological well-being: autonomy, personal growth, self-acceptance, purpose, mastery, and relatedness. They're fulfilled in many different ways over the course of a person's life. It's not all in one way. People wanting to find importance and meaning. I think for a lot of my clients, a lot of what I come across here in my office, I'm actually here today, here in my office is people want purpose. I know CBU, like live your purpose, whatever. That's great. But I do think people want purpose and they want to navigate how to find that purpose. And it's really challenging. It can be very challenging to figure out, how do I find purpose? What is my motivation? What drives me? What am I doing? Like, I think I mentioned those values questions. Like, what am I doing with my brief time on this planet? I think when we are able to like look at those things and really seek and find what our purpose is, whether it be from a spiritual perspective, and then based on what God's leading you to do, like what does that look like when I'm in the workforce? What does it look like when I'm in my family? What does it look like when I'm with my friends or a partner or whatever? If I have purpose, I then have value, right? And so those are things that are going to come up. People want goals. They want to be autonomous. They want to feel like I have the ability to meet those goals. I have morals. I have ethics. I have self-worth. These are all things that matter to people and contribute to them being successful, or contribute to them feeling happy and satisfied. I use the word happy, but like content, or these are the things that lead to them feeling discouraged, unmotivated, directionless, I think wandering a bit, or even not grounded. I think the more we kind of, navigate what we want to do, and we find avenues to do those things, whether it's through our work or our work affords us the ability to do those things, the more grounded we are. When we don't know what we're doing and we're trying all these things and we're grappling, that's when we're less grounded. So, well, I just hope you guys all have had a fantastic time in this course. There's been so much to learn and grow. And, when we talk about stress and looking at what causes stress, I think a lot of what causes stress is, the pressure to have to do and be. And, as parents, we take our kids and put them in things and try, do all the things. And it can be very overwhelming and stressful. And like we talked about burnout, like trying to navigate, what are my limits? What is the point where it's of no return? Like I need to stay away from that point. Sometimes it takes us getting to that point to know how far we can go and how far we need to stay away from that. But these are all part of that navigation process in adulthood that many of us face, many of you face, as we're all adults here, and are navigating things at different pieces right now in our current lives. And our culture plays a big role in that. Now, some of us have very different cultures, because of our upbringing, where we come from, and that plays usually a role into choices and decisions we make. What drives us, what career we choose. Maybe we're kind of told what career we're going to choose, and that affects overall contentment, because maybe even if it's a successful career, it may be something we never wanted to do. So these are great things to you're going to engage in, sorry, the glare, you're going to engage with the students and, or not just students, but with people that you come across, whether they be students, whether they be grownups, whether they be children. You're going to come across these types of situations. And so really trying to get to the root of the issue so we can fix the problem is important. You know, a lot of times, like I have clients who are, you know, who are older. They're, and I'm not saying ancient, but 50 years old, and they're looking at their life and they're like, I never thought my life would be like this. Like when my 20-year-old self thought of me as 50, they thought my life was going to be totally different. And I'm like mourning the fact that it's not what I thought it would be. And that's really hard. And people come into my office all the time with those kinds of things. And it's like grieving what is lost, but it's like, what are you going to do about it now? What are you about right now? You can change where you're at. Like we choose what we don't change, you know? So, it's been a pleasure. If you need anything, please email me, and we are almost done. And if I don't talk to you before the end of the semester, please know I hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and a great new year. And I probably will see you in another class in the future.